I know the lighting is a bit harsh right now, but it's almost midnight, so you're gonna have to bear with me because I really want to record this video. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you are new. Today I am bringing back my revamped TBR game. If you've been following me for a while, you know that in 2022 question mark I created this TBR game. It was very modest, very colorful, and it was on my bullet journal. It was a bunch of squares and each color had a meaning here at the bottom. I'd roll a dice. I didn't have one at the time, so I was using my phone and my Google Home to roll a die for me, and then just move along the squares and get prompts along the way to choose books for my TBR. And there was the book luck jar as well, which was a pot with a little paper with every single book that I owned, and I would just get one at random. This was very fun and I used to love playing this. I would get excited every month to play it, even though I don't think I've ever completed my TBR a single time. I've only done this like 4 times and then I stopped. I don't remember why. And I really wanted to bring it back, but I needed to revamp it because, you know, I always need to be extra. I can never make things easy for myself. So I've revamped it. I've been working on this for so long, between thinking and creating all the single pieces, and I'm proud. I'm proud of my game. So it's very similar in terms of it's still a board game with spaces that you roll the die to play, and I'm going to play all the way until I finish the board. So the number of books that I'm going to get is completely random, but the similarities finish there. Here is the new board. Can we take a moment to appreciate? Yes, it's a bookshelf, in case you are not sure. And as you can see, there's no spaces in this bookshelf. And the reason for this is because the spaces are in here. There's a bunch of categories, and basically the board changes every time I play, because on the previous version it was always the same order of spaces and what happened in each one. So on this one, not only we have more categories, but they change every time we play, and there's also cards here that can make them change halfway through the game. Today's video is obviously going to be a little bit longer because I am going to explain briefly how this game works, and then we're gonna get playing for the TBR February. On my bookshelf, I'm going to start the game by putting books on the bookshelf. So these cards that I have here all mixed up, they are spines of the books. They have different colors and each color is a category. There is 8 of them, 8 different spines, and I have a bunch of each one. 14 of each or something, but I don't need nearly as many as they're here. So it's completely random. Some categories will have more spaces on the board than others. But now let's quickly talk about each category. So we still have our book luck jar, which is the green card. So whenever I land on this card, it means I do a dip on my book luck. That took me forever because obviously I had to redo it. The titles that I had in here, some of them were no longer updated, so I removed all the papers and I wrote them all again. So each of these papers is a book on that bookshelf, which is my TBR shelf. Just like before, I also have a choice of, if I want, I can unhaul that book straight away and just take another out, because there is a lot of books in there that have been there for ages, and some of them I don't really have an interest on reading them, so I'm giving that option to myself. If I don't want to read it and haul it, take another one out. As we play, there is the possibility that I will take a book that I already read or even unhauled, and if that's the case, as a reward to myself, nothing happens and I just roll again and move on to the next space. So I don't need to take another thing out to create my TBR on that round. It will just be like a free space. These cards here, they are things related to the title. So I have a pile of cards here, I'll show you in a second, but these will be cards like a title with 2 words or a title that rhymes with something. These ones will be books picked by someone else. So it could either be an Instagram poll, an Instagram scroll, it could be my husband choosing it, my dog's choosing it, literally anyone else chooses. There's also a pile of cards. All of these categories except the book luck, they all have a pile of cards that I will be taking out if I land on those cards. These ones will be activities, so things that could not necessarily be related to books. So it could be watch a movie, bake a dessert, go out for dinner, things like that. These ones will be things related to numbers. So either the number of pages, the number of chapters, coordinates to my shelf, things like that. Yellow ones are things related to the cover. So it will be a cover with blue, or people on the cover, or a cover that I like, a cover that I hate. These ones are movements. So movements on the board or things that change the board. So go forward, go back, or redo the board. And lastly, these ones are miscellaneous prompts that don't really fit in any other categories. they are in here. And this is the biggest category. This is the one that I have more cards of. So now that you know all the categories, let me show you my little stacks. They are not finalized yet. I'm still waiting for something to arrive, so they will look prettier next month. But I really wanted to start this TBR game for February, so I didn't want to wait for the other pieces that I'm missing to arrive. So this is temporary, but for now it's what we're going with. Right, so I have the stacks here, and obviously they all look the same. They will then look the same colors as the little spines of the books, but for now they all look the same. So I put a paper on top saying what is what, so I know where to get it from whenever I land on each category. Then I also have a die that I'm going to play with. Yes, I have an actual die this time, and my friend Pascal, that you know from the previous version of the game, this is my pawn, and he's going to be the one going around the board. I think that's pretty much it. The only thing that I'm missing mentioning is I will start here on the top shelf and just follow the order of the shelves, and the game finishes whenever I reach the end, and those will be my TBRs. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of rules. I haven't decided yet if I want to do penalties if I don't finish the TBR. Last time I had the rule that if I didn't read something, it would go on next month's TBR, and I had 3 months to read it, so it would go on the TBR 3 times, and by the 3rd month, if I still hadn't read it, I needed to unhaul that book, which makes perfect sense, but I haven't decided if I want to bring that rule back or not, so I'll keep you posted on that next month. Now, without any further ado, let's get playing. I'm going to start by shuffling these cards, even though they're already super shuffled. And now let's fill in the bookshelf. Alright, here we go. So this is what the board looks like. I'm gonna put it facing you so you can see properly, but for recording the rules, I'm gonna do it free-handing the camera, so I think it's easier. But like I said, I'm gonna start here on the top shelf, and we're gonna follow the sequence of the shelves like this. The game finishes whenever I reach the end, and also I'm going to start outside the board, so if I roll 1, I will have a chance to get on this card, because otherwise if I was already here, I would never get this one. You know what I mean, right? So let's get started. Roll number 1, and we got a 1. So let's go. This is the card for prompts with covers. So covers is this stack over here. So let's see. Random color generator. There is a website, probably more than one, that generates random colors, as you can imagine from the name. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna record my screen so you can see it together with me. Right, so random color generator, I just Googled it, and I'm gonna use the first website. As you can see, there is a few. Let's use the first one and see what happens. And I'm gonna click 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. The third one is gonna be the one that I use. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, black gray. So basically now I need to choose a cover that has black gray on it. Right, black gray, I chose Mother Loves Me by Abby Davis. And I think, at least from looking at my phone, the color around here looks very similar. And this is officially my first book on my return TBR game. Roll number 2. It's a 3. 1, 2, 3. So another prompt for covers. Covers, covers, covers. A yellow cover. Alright, for yellow on the cover, I'm gonna go with The Other Mother by Jen Brister. This is an ARC copy, I believe, and it's a non-fiction. I almost had to hold this a few years ago. It's been on my shelf for ages. But then I remember I read, I think it was the back. Back then I thought it was funny, and it was enough to make me decide to keep the book. Yes, it is a proof copy, by the way. I think this person is a comedian. I'm not entirely sure. Now that I'm a mother, perhaps I'll relate even more. So let's give this one a try. Roll number 3. 1 again. Oh my god, we're going so slowly. So this one is activities, so things that might not be related to books. Right, activities is this stack over here. Let's see what we're gonna do. Go to a restaurant. Okay, cool. This one doesn't get a book. Let's roll again. And we got another 3. 1, 2, 3, and that's another activity. Another activity. And now we're going to read at least 30 minutes in one sitting. This nowadays is a challenge with a small baby, but I'll do my best. Roll again. We got another 1. So that's movement on the board. Replace all numbers with something else. Alright, so what this means is I am going to come to my board and all the number cards, which are this one, and this one, I'm just going to replace them with something else at random. And it might be another number cards because I'm literally just going to pick up a random one. So we have book luck. We have another book luck. And we have numbers. All right, and now let's roll again. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's another activity. So activities. Remove one book from the TBR. We literally have 2 books on the TBR and I have to remove one of them. So I'm actually quite curious to read this one. So I'm going to remove this one from the TBR. Let's go again. And we got a 2. 1, 2. Book luck. So book luck is our jar. I'm a little bit scared because when I was just now writing all these papers, there's a lot on my bookshelves that I have no idea what they're about or why I have them or why I thought it was interesting to read. Let's see what we got. Other People's Secrets. I think this is a thriller. Took me a while, but I found it. It's by Louise Candlish, which I have a bunch of her books, and I think I've only ever read one. But for some reason, I used to love her covers, and I still do. Not this specific one, but I used to love the other covers. I started collecting them, and then one day I collected this one from a charity shop, even though this cover is not it, to say the least. But this is the next book on my TBR. I do not know what it's about, but I think it's a thriller, like I was saying, because I think that's all she writes, question mark. Next roll. And we got a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's miscellaneous. Look how big the stack of miscellaneous is. Alright, let's see what we got. A book you know nothing about. That's most of them. There's so many books on my shelves that I know nothing about. It's not gonna be hard to find one that fulfills the challenge. I'm gonna go for Twisted Love. It's a very popular book. Everyone raves about it. I think it's a TikTok famous book, but I honestly know nothing about it. I bought it because it was famous and I was having severe FOMO. What it's about, I have no idea, so it does fulfill the challenge. Okay, let's roll again. Okay, I'm gonna roll again because it's inclined on the board and I've always learned that when that happens, you must roll again. Right, a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's a people's choice. Who's going to be choosing it? An author rec. Alright, so you know how some authors on their Instagram, besides being an author, they're also readers. So I'm going to look for someone. Who should I do? And basically go on their Instagram and pick something from there. But ideally something that I have on my shelf. So I'm gonna do this and I'll be back shortly. Okay, actually I didn't have to go far. I went on to John Marr's Instagram just because I knew that he reads a lot and he shares reviews all the time. And one of the first posts that he has on his page is this one where he shared 5, what does he call it? A locked room thriller. I read one of them, The Hunting Party. I read that a while ago. But this one here, Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson, I have that on my shelf. And he wrote that it's on an exclusive holiday island, a dream honeymoon becomes a nightmare. Sounds fantastic. Let's pick that one up. I read the Peter Swanson book recently and I didn't love it. It was the prequel to The Kind Worth Killing. It was The Kind Worth Saving. I didn't love it. Was it a prequel or a sequel? I don't remember. Something on that duology. I didn't love that one, but I did love the first one that I read years ago. And I think I also read something else and it was Unremarkable? Or did I never read anything else? I do have quite a few of him on the shelves. Anyway, this is all irrelevant. This is the next book on my TBR. If I roll either a 1 or a 2, we have another book. If not, the game will be finished. Anything else besides a 1 or a 2 will finish the game. A 2! 1, 2. So it's something about cover, and this is obviously the last roll as well. Alright, let's go to the cover stack. And let's choose something with no people on the cover. I'm so happy that this book doesn't have any people on the cover because I really want to read it and I absolutely adore this cover. This is In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros, which is the author of Fourth Wing. There's a reading blog for that here on the channel if you want to listen to my rant review. But look at this cover. I don't know what this is about. I don't really care. I saw this for sale. I think it's a recent book after she wrote for thing. Obviously it's not a fantasy. I think it's not a fantasy. Look at this cover! Like the airplane wing, the colors, it's giving. It's giving, and I'm so happy I get to read it. Is it a second chance if you've never had a first? Here is the TBR for February. 5 books, which is quite a lot because I don't have that much time to read, but let's see what I can do with this, and stay put for next month's TBR for March, and I will let you know what I read and what I rated each of them, but as well I will keep you updated on Instagram as I go. So follow me over there if you haven't already. It's Manganet with 2 T's. And thank you so much for tuning in and following along. If you have any suggestions of prompts you would like to see in any of these categories, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if it's something that I don't have already in there, then I will happily add it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you very soon here on the channel for another video. Bye!